Hello, my name is Craig Anderson, and I'm doing a video today on the carburetor that came on a 1949 Hydroglide. The Hydroglide, well, in the 48 they came out with the Panhead, and they used a carburetor on it which had too small of a venturi. So over the next couple of years they made multiple changes to the carburation system on the Hydroglide. And the first carburetor was called an M36. It worked real well on a 61 cubic inch. It was the same, virtually the same as an M35, which ran on a knucklehead. But the Panhead could rev more, and people started modifying their carburetors. And the first thing they did was, this is an M36 Venturi. It's got a smaller hole. I don't have the exact dimensions. And the M74 and that era of carburetor had a larger diameter hole through the center, so it flowed more air but with less velocity. That means that it might not accelerate as hard, especially off the line, but it could go faster, maybe 10 miles an hour faster. So that was the first thing they did. They also discovered that the M36 came with a butterfly, which is marked 12, and that means the number of degrees of angle on the edge. So what's called tip-in. When you hit the gas, it opens a little bit, and gas goes around the edges and picks up gas out of the side of the carburetor at the idle port. And if they change that to a 9-degree bevel, it was smoother and worked better. So this part became obsolete, at least for this type of carburetor, for the larger Panhead type carburetor. The last rendition of the Panhead carburetor was called an M74B, and that's written on the top of the carburetor. So what I wanted to do was update an M36, which is original to the bike, to work like an M74B. And I couldn't find anything on the internet about this. I did find a book. The book is called the Victory Library Linkert book, also the Harley Davidson Spare Parts book, and the How to Restore Your Harley book, which most people are familiar with. The next thing they did, the original, I'm going to call it an emulsion tube. They call it a nozzle. It's called a nozzle by Harley, emulsion tube by other people. The original one had 4 holes in it right here. This one is the original. And there's a guy that sells Linkert parts. His website is linkertcarb.com. He sells an upgrade kit for the M36, which includes a jet. I think it's a 17 or 18. This emulsion tube and the correct M74 Venturi. However, the M74B used a number 19 jet, and they used an emulsion tube that looked like this one, which allowed more gas to be available for acceleration and high-speed driving. And it had 5 bigger holes in it, which let more air in to emulsify when the gas comes out the top of this tube. This is when you're under high speed, all the gas is coming through this tube and out the top, and the holes are called air bleeds, and they let air into the gas to mix it. So the mixing starts before it gets into the Ventura. So there were 4 parts that were different in the M36. The choke, or the jet. What I put into this one was a number 19 jet, a number 9 X9 throttle plate, a M74B Venturi, and an M74B emulsion tube, which looked like that. And that brought that carburetor up to the specs that can handle a FLH type of motor. This is a 49 engine, but it has high compression pistons and a FLH cam in it, as well as now M74B or FLH style carburetor, and it's running beautifully. It starts hard still. I'm still working on the starting, but that might be the driver's fault.